I think I found a way. Put that down, they pick it up. Put that down, they pick it up. Put that down, they pick it up. Way. Put that down, they pick it up. Put that down, they pick it up. I think I found a way. Put that down, they pick it up. Put that down, they pick it up. Put that down, they pick it up. Way. Put that down, they pick it up.
Yes, sir. It's your boy Keys Ali. You got a lot in to meet my friend, the summer series. And check this out. I know I've been interviewing a lot of guys from South Carolina, but I took a little trip across the state lines to get with my guy KAEveryDay. Listen, I'm gonna be quiet, let him introduce himself, then we're gonna dig into his life, dig into how he got going, dig into how you can connect with him for your next media run and rollout. KA, tell my people who you are, man. Tell them where they can find you. Tell them all the good stuff about you, my friend.
Well, like you were saying, my name's KAEveryDay. It's your boy K. So just to give everybody a quick story, so KA, those are my initials. My real name is Kirk Allen, so I just kept it simple. So KA, I'm the same person you meet on and off stage. I don't play roles when I'm in character, out of character, so that's why I just put it together and said KAEveryDay.
Gotcha. And you have the Unaffiliated Creators Podcast, correct? Tell us about that. Tell us what that's about. All that good information about your pod.
Okay, so the premise of the podcast is independent artists learn from other independent artists. So if you listen to any of the episodes, I interview independent artists, music artists, and I've also had music producers on as well. And I actually had the opportunity to interview a music lawyer, so that was cool. But basically, the premise of the show is, I'm an independent artist myself, so I'm actually walking the walk and talking the talk, so I can relate to what the artists are going through. So, when they're sharing their story and their testimony and the journey and the things that they go through, I can kind of share things that I went through, some pitfalls that I went through. And then there's a part of the podcast where I always ask the artist, what's some things that you went through that maybe we can learn from. So if you keep listening to the podcast every week, you would just keep getting nuggets from all the different artists that I interview.
That's what's up, man. But my first question is, when did the media bug bite you? When did you start being a creative, being what I call a talking head, a floating head on the screen? When did that start for you, and how did it start for you?
So I don't know an exact date, but to be honest with you, so I got a homeboy who, me and him been doing this music thing for a long time, ever since I was like 17 years old. And we have, and I'm pretty sure you do the same thing, we have conversations like pretty much every day. And then it got to a point, he was like, you know what, man, a lot of these conversations that we be having, we ain't even getting credit for it. He was like, man, maybe you ought to start a podcast or something. And a lot of these conversations that me and you be having on the phone every day, you can actually be gaining something from it, and people can be learning from some of the stuff that we be talking about. So I was like, say no more. So I just went full steam ahead and just started a podcast, and it's just been going ever since.
Gotcha. Now, I know that you also are an artist, correct?
Yes.
Now, when it comes to being a media person and an artist, I know you said you KA every day, you keep it straight every day. Do you separate those grinds, or do you just intertwine the two and keep going?
So they're separate, but they're together, and I'm gonna try to make it make sense as much as possible. It's probably gonna sound like I'm rambling. So to kind of explain what I'm talking about. So when I'm doing these podcasts, so I'm still KA. So when I come on, I always say, "Hey, it's your host, KAEveryDay." That's my stage name when I'm a singer. A lot of times when I make the clips for the show and you listening to the music that's played, those are actually beats that I made. So a lot of the stuff that you're hearing, a lot of stuff that you're seeing is all me. So that's how I'm able to kind of intertwine the music in with the podcast. But when I'm going to just like record a song, I kind of got to keep that separate, because when you in that process of recording and making a song, it's kind of different than just interviewing an artist. So when it comes to that aspect, it is separate. But everything else, even with the social media, I might put the hey, I'm KA, or KAEveryDay. But you will see up at the top, it might say Unaffiliated Creators Podcast. So, the two kind of come together when I need to.
Now, has one opened a door for another? Like, have you got any features or beats that you was able to get off and sell with the podcast, or vice versa, where the artistry has opened up doors for you to interview people?
So to answer that question, I'm going to be honest with you. The podcast is actually allowed me more opportunities than just being an artist. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't taken advantage of a lot of the opportunities, but um, basically what happens is most artists almost feel obligated to try to help as much as they can because they look at it as, well, you reached out to me, you helped me, you brought me on your platform, you're spreading my message, you're promoting my music. So the least I could do is, hey, jump on this song with me, or I jump on a song with them, or if I got a beat that they like, they say, hey, shoot me a beat, or vice versa. So I've had several opportunities that's to open up with a podcast, but to be honest, I just been so grinding and trying to keep consistent with putting in. You know what I'm talking about. But it's
Oh
a
yeah,
lot
oh
of
yeah.
people behind the scenes doing these things. It ain't just turning the cameras on and then you get to go to bed. So I've been spending a lot of time trying to really push this thing out. So I haven't really taken advantage of those opportunities. But the podcast did open up a lot more doors than just being an artist has.
Got you. Now I work with a couple of artists, and this is kind of off the cuff, but as an artist, I want to ask you this. I work with a couple of artists, and my thing that I always tell them is that there's a million rappers, there's a million singers, there's a million people trying to do exactly what you're doing, and sometimes I tell them to try to tap in to other things outside of just the music that they make. Do you agree that having other hobbies or other skill sets outside of being an artist help you as an artist, or have you never looked at it that way?
Yeah, I think it helps. So to be honest with you, so kind of what you're talking about. So everything that I do as of right now is basically all me, as far as like every time you seeing like any of the clips. So I do my own editing, videography, photography,
Mhm.
photo shoots, editing the videos, making the beats. um when I do record, so I record my songs myself, so then I mix them myself, and I mash them and everything. I guess you could call it me being cheap, but I noticed, a wise man once told me, what you don't know, you're gonna have to pay somebody to do. So, I'm not rich by any means. So I'm at the point where I try to do as much stuff as I can,
Mhm.
myself. And of course I always hear people say it's good to have a team around you.
Mhm.
But my thing is, what good is it to have a team around you? Them people ain't gonna want to work for free. So if I don't got the money to pay these people, I got to do the stuff myself until I get to the point where I am making money where I can, pay people. So, but
I
to answer your
understand that.
question, I think it does help. It
Gotcha.
makes you a more well-rounded person, and it shows more in your the creative juices flow better when you are tapped into more things than just, oh, I'm just a singer, or I'm just a rapper, or that's all I do is just make beats.
Gotcha. Hey man, 100%. And when you say about learning to skill yourself, I'm one of those type of people as well. DIY, I think, is the best way to put it, man. Of course, I could spend a little bit just for someone to do it, but I like learning it myself. So at that given time, sometimes when you go to someone and you ask them for a service, if it's creating a album cover, for example, or a single cover, then you have to pay them and you have to wait on their deadline. But if you know the skill yourself, it may be something that's on your heart, that's on your mind, that you could just sit down at your own MacBook or your own laptop and just knock it out yourself. And being able to do that 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning without having to call a graphic designer and wait for a DM back or go through Fiverr, that's why I do it. That's why I pick up the skills myself. And then once you make something and you look at it and kind of compare it to someone who does it full time, you're like, you know what? My shit ain't so bad. So I get that feeling. I'm one of those DIY guys myself. But what's your drive, man? What pushes you to constantly create content?
Um, Well, I think one thing that drives me, because I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty sure a lot of people, you might even went through this yourself. You'll start out, full steam ahead, you motivated and you knocking it out, and then it gets to a point where you start questioning, like, why am I doing this? So of course things aren't moving as fast as you would like them to, to
Yeah.
move. So you kind of start getting frustrated. You start questioning, like, man, do I even need to keep doing this? Am I wasting my time? And then what'll happen is I interview somebody and they'll come back and be like, man, I really appreciate you being letting me be on your podcast. I've been watching you for a while. I like your work. You're doing a good job. Keep going. I learned something from your podcast. And it's things like that when you get the confirmation from other people that you're doing a good job, and they're telling you basically to keep going because they see value in what you're doing. Those are the kind of things that kind of motivate me to kind of want to keep going.
What's your end goal though? Do you have an end goal in mind? Do you have a finish line that you're trying to get to?
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't have a definitive goal. So I mean, I guess my goal is probably what most people's goal is. I mean, I'm not trying to get like rich or anything like that, but I would like to get to the point where either the podcast or being an artist or a combination of both would be able to make enough money to where I could stop my regular 9 to 5 job or get off the hamster wheel, as like me and my homeboy like to say. Let's get off the
Mhm.
hamster wheel, and then I would like to just wake up every day and do the things that I enjoy doing. So if I just want to wake up and do a podcast today, I can do that because the podcast is generating enough money to where I don't have to worry about working for somebody else. I'm basically working for myself.
Gotcha, gotcha. Now, my last question is kind of taken from your pie here. I need a testimony from you. I want to hear a lesson that you learned, a story that you can tell the viewership about, maybe a struggle that you had to overcome or something that you may have ran into and how you overcame that. Do you have something that you can share with us?
Um, well, I don't know if I necessarily call it a struggle. So I got a couple of things. So the first thing I would tell anybody is you can always make an excuse not to do something. And I'll just use myself as an example. So if anybody go back and look at my very first podcast, I didn't have this fancy backdrop behind me. I had like a black, like basically like a curtain. But I kept telling myself, you know what? I can always make an excuse of why I can't do something, but I wanted to eliminate the excuses. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna start it because I want people to be able to see that this thing has grown over time. Because Rome wasn't built in a day, like they always say, right? So I took the
Hmm.
same approach with the podcast. I just started it, and my main thing was I just wanted to stay consistent with it. But outside of that, as I stuck with it, I've been able to grow. So then I was able to do things like had a backdrop behind me. I was able to get better equipment and things like that. But when I started out, I just was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. So I would just tell anybody, don't make excuses for yourself not to do something. And then another thing I would share with people is don't take things personal. And I actually learned this today. I did a interview with a guy today, and I was supposed to interview this guy months ago. But for some reason, I guess like I reached out to him and we never connected. And I kind of took it personal. I kind of took it like he was trying, what they say, like he was ghosting me and he was like trying to play me to the left. But then, I reached, something told me, I was like, you know what, I'm going to reach out to him again just to kind of see, maybe things just didn't quite line up. And then he hit me back. I was like, man, I appreciate you reaching back out to me, man. I had a lot going on at that time. I'm sorry that we couldn't link up. And then he was like, look, if you ain't doing nothing tomorrow, man, let's link up and let's do it. So I learned that, sometimes just because people don't get back with you like you think they should, it could be, something that they got going on. So just don't
For
take it
sure.
personal.
For sure. Hey man, those are two great lessons to have, man. I appreciate your time. In this short period of time, I feel like you didn't drop at least 3 to 4 jewels that I can incorporate, and I'm pretty sure the viewership would be able to incorporate as well. But before you go, man, I gotta ask you to do this. Tell people how can they get in contact with you. Tell people how they can get on your show. What type of people are you looking for? Is it just artists? Is it creators? Is it chefs? Is it entrepreneurship? I want you to sell yourself to the viewership and tell them how to get in contact with you because I would love to see some of the people that I've worked with come on your show and maybe vice versa. Some of the people that you've worked with slide by me because that's what it's all about, networking. So the floor is yours. Please tell people how to get in contact with you. Plug your show again, plug your social medias, do your thing, man.
All right, so I'm pretty much on all the social medias. If you just type in KA every day, I'll come up. You can either shoot me a DM or you can email me at unaffiliatedcreatives@gmail.com. Like I said, I check my DMs every day. I check my emails. So if you want to come on the show, just hit me up, and then I always respond, and I send all the details to the show as far as how we can sync up and do the interviews and things like that. Um, as far as artists, I don't ever look for a particular type of artist. I mean, I like a variety. I mean, I've had gospel artists come on my show. I've had,
Okay.
you know, guys that do like the drill rap, and then I've done, the more like what people call them like the backpackers and all that stuff. So I don't have a particular artist. It's just I like, good stories. And the thing I always like is sometimes, you will look at a rap or you'll look at like a video or something, you think they're a certain kind of way, but then when you interview them, they're like a totally different person. You
Mhm.
get to see the real side, not the facade that they put out for everybody to see. So, I always learn something from doing these things. So I wouldn't like, discourage anybody from coming on. Like I said, I don't discriminate. It's all good. We all here to learn something. Yeah, man, we can definitely link up. You know, if you got some artists or people that you deal with, you know, I can get them on the show and vice versa. You know, I'll send people your way, man, so we can get this thing going.
All right, man. Again, K, man, thank you for your time. Thank you for dropping them jewels, man. And man, I appreciate you for what you do. You put Shyland Flowers on your show. You actually featured one of the videos, one of my first videos that I shot for McNeely on your show. You showed me love. You show artists that I fuck with love. So I wanted to be able to give you your flowers back and give you your opportunity to come on my platform and tell people about you. So guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for locking in. Make sure you hit them up, man. We've had many different creatives on this particular summer series, but make sure you lock in with KA. Like he said, hit him up, email him, DM him. He'll get right back to you, but don't come half-stepping. Have your shit together and be ready to open up and share your story so your story can again help someone else down the road. KA, man, thank you for your time. As always, Nico Smoke playing the back, making sure everything stands smooth and clean. Thank you, Nico Smoke. This has been Meet My Friends. I am your host, Keys Ali. I'm KASC. Keys Ali. This is KA, man. Thank you guys for your time, and we out. All right, man.